Hi everyone, how are you doing this week? I figured I'd bring you with me today as I do my chores and I can show you how things have been starting to slowly get better. My bank account situation will be resolved soon. I have a friend that has been helping me and I haven't had a chance to go down there, but I'm going to go down there today. And I don't know why I've been avoiding it. I get anxiety because of communication issues that I have. So, ADHD friends, autism friends, do you have issues when you have to make phone calls or deal with things that are anxiety provoking for you? Like, I don't know why my mind goes to the worst case scenario, and I think these things that aren't, we all have like negative thoughts, right? We all can be hard on ourselves, but I'm going straight to, oh, it's not going to work out, yada, yada, yada. But we got to change that, otherwise nothing changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So, what is today's date? Hold on one second. Today is Wednesday, January 15th. I'm not even going to say day number because I'm not doing the 30 days anymore. I think when enough time goes by, maybe I will try it again, but take a different approach than just focus on, I was focusing on some things that I wanted to improve. So the things I was tracking every day in my planner was the time I'm waking up and going to bed, trying to improve my sleep hygiene, trying to make sure I drink my water. Oh, on a plus note, since I've been back to work, I should say this really quick. For anyone who is new, my name is Sherry. I am an adult with ADHD, possibly autism, not sure yet, working with my counselor on learning about that and if it would apply to me or not. I do have family members who have both, so it is a possibility. And if learning about that is something that is interesting to you or could help you or someone you love, please subscribe and follow me and we can work it out together, One of the reasons I started this channel, I think it was in May, was I realized that, at least for me, maybe because I've been away from social media forever. I'm a Gen Xer. I've dealt with a lot of these things by myself. You pretty much were told by workplaces, if you even disclosed, but you wouldn't. I'll get into story time about that. That's your responsibility and you go to a counselor and you fix it. Well, fast forward a couple decades, guess what? You can't fix it. It's a neurotype, right? Now, it is a disability, and I do want to do a series, like I'm thinking of maybe shorts. I cannot believe still, I worked with somebody the other day who believes that it's overdiagnosed. I kind of feel like it's this belief that's persisted through our culture, and then people attach to things and they will argue with you. It's like, well, first of all, if I don't have the information, I'm not going to believe something is or isn't overly diagnosed. And is it because it's a common belief? Is it because it's how it seems to you? Just because something seems a certain way doesn't mean that that's how it is. But yet people think this. We can't know it if we're not neurologists. Just saying. And it's taken a long time to dig up facts and fact-based information from experts in the field and medical journals that have the actual evidence of what is real and what is not real about ADHD and being neurodivergent, and it's tough because not only is there a lot of misinformation out there, I've been hearing the same misinformation for 25 years. People haven't looked things up. The information's out there. You can look it up. It is real. Everybody does not have it. It may or may not be overdiagnosed. There's a few things that I do know that makes me think that it's probably not. It's actually underdiagnosed, at least with adults. It's not. It's a neurological condition. I've had to really look this stuff up and double check all of my sources, because even sources that seem credible have either older information, they have misinformation. Even Mayo Clinic, I was really surprised. As somebody who has gone to school for medical degrees and has that skill set of looking up actual medical journals and looking up peer-reviewed sources, it is absolutely dismaying to me that there is information out there, and credible resources are still going on outdated information. It's no wonder that people around us will argue with us and say you're wrong. It's like, dude, you don't have this. You didn't spend the years reading about this. You didn't go look up experts. You didn't read studies. You're just going on what you heard. You just go on what somebody who calls themselves an expert says. It's no wonder we gaslight ourselves. It's no wonder that every single day we think we could do it if we tried. I think the rejection sensitivity, maybe, and it really should be criticism sensitivity, it wouldn't be such a problem if it didn't make us feel absolutely insane. I was talking with somebody the other day. I guess I've stopped doing my laundry. I was talking to somebody the other day about something that I've noticed, and I look like I'm being like this. Sorry, guys. Maybe I won't do my dishes right now because I can't do both. I've noticed that people seem to... I'm just going to put this down. I'll come back to it. I'm having fun talking to you. And the last few weeks, as I've been getting used to being back at work, I've noticed that my pattern is that I seem to come and do an update video for you guys like Wednesdays or Thursdays. I did have my coffee. I did have my pills. How is everybody doing? I hope you guys are having a good week. That was like a whole bunch of different things. So yeah, I've got a lot of things bouncing around in my head. I have some slow processing, so sometimes I'll see something or I'll hear something and it bothers me. And I have to reflect on it for a few days. And I do want to look up evidence-based information for you. And I'm frustrated that I feel like, why am I the only one doing this? Why are neurotypical people not doing this? Why do they think they can just go on what they see on social media and just believe it? If you go to any ADHD content creators sorry, I'm shaking this. If you go to any of the ADHD content creators, the bigger ones, there's no disagreement. For the most part, everything they say is in agreement with each other. There's no conflict. Yeah, it's dismaying for me, the misinformation that's out there, and that you can't talk to people about it. Not that I really want to go out of my way to do that, but when people, what are you supposed to do? If people have wrong information, and I'm sorry, it's personal for me because it affects me and it affects other people. And so my whole life, I just keep quiet. what are we supposed to do? Now, if you're at work, you can't really say anything, especially if it's a coworker or a boss, because you don't want to be rude. So it makes me question everything. It makes me want to go back. It's a lot of freaking work. I don't want to feel like I'm in college again. I don't believe something unless it's evidence-based. And yet people will believe something based on what something seems like to them. It's kind of like this thing that you hear about. Sometimes common sense isn't common sense, which I didn't really know until some of my medical classes. When you actually go back and look at some of the beliefs that are commonly held, and you think they're common sense, but then you go to look up evidence to support it, and I'm not just talking about some famous person who may be a doctor. You have to look at what the evidence, what is the science community has proven. I'm going to come back to this because it just bothers me so much, and people don't realize that it is an actual disability as well as being a neurotype. I feel like we have so much work to do, and we can't do it by ourselves, and we're already struggling with it. If you have it to a level that it's interfering with your ability to work and live your life, you're already embarrassed. You already don't want to talk about it. You're already tired of that attention on you. You've been masking your whole life so you can blend in and not be in trouble. You know, you don't want to be othered at work. You don't want to be othered in your life. You just want to be normal, and whatever normal means to you. And although that's not possible, and yes, normal doesn't exist, and it's overrated, and yes, we will always be neurodivergent, and that's good. The challenges are a lot. Like even just the 30-day experiment that I did. Granted, yeah, I've been meaning to do a video to kind of sum up what I learned. The first, I don't know, like week or two, I had been without medication for much longer than I had thought. So when I did film my script, I didn't realize that I had been out of my system for so long that if I just took the dose that I had slowly worked up to over the time, that was basically almost like ODing because my body wasn't used to it anymore. So then that took another week or two because I didn't, for my brain chemistry to adjust to it again. So my symptoms were a lot worse than they should have been. So that kind of affected things and made things more challenging than they needed to be. The equivalent of trying to walk up a hill while carrying water versus walking on dry land, like a flat surface carrying water. Those foundational things that I didn't realize I needed to go back to fix, and the amount of time it would take for that to level off, that took up, I want to say like half of the 30-day experiment. And then I was frustrated about that. I had some other challenges. Now, this is life, right? We all have challenges. And this is really good to talk about too, because if you're neurodivergent, especially if you also have autism or if you only have autism, and autism friends, this is newer for me. So I'm relying on you guys to just like let me know if I have misinformation. I mean, I've been learning from a counselor. I've been learning from resources gradually over like the last, I don't know, my sense of time's so wrong. Like, I think I started in a summer, and it wasn't, has it been a year and a half? I don't even know. I don't even know. Do you guys want me to get into story time sometime soon and talk about why I started to think I might have autism as well? I can do that. what did I come on here to say? I wanted to update you on my week. I'm all over the place. I was going to do chores with you, have you with me while I was doing chores, and apparently I can't do that. I was started to talk to you about some things that were triggering for me. And that's okay. That's okay. And anytime that these things happen, it's okay. It's not okay if people, because for the most part, at least the people like in my work environment, I work with a very good group of people, and this is not anything about my work environment. Just like in general in life, I don't think there are a lot of people out there who don't care and are narcissistic, but that's not everybody. And people are busy with their life. And this is, unless it's like their own child or themselves or a very close relative, they're not going to be spending all this time researching something and learn about what it actually is versus what society at large thinks it is. So I get it. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Guys, it's a lot. There's so many things, and it's frustrating, right? I was diagnosed 25 years ago. And what is it about an idea that gets out in the public? And once people believe that, they won't want to listen to anything else. It can be it could be proven to be not true. And when somebody decides that they want to believe it because that's what makes sense to them, that you're crazy. They mean well. Especially when it's like a doctor or a pharmacist or a boss, you know. That gets very complicated. It does. And it's important to talk about. I actually am very open. I'm very fortunate that I can be open in my workplace and talk about this channel. And I always want to be very mindful because they can tune in and watch it as well. And I think it's always, if you talk about things, I'm going to try to talk about things in a positive way as much as I can. I can be, we all can, if you're able to. And I don't want to tell people what to do at all, because you know your values, you know how you want to approach life, you know those are your choices if you had your own channel or how you choose to talk to people in life. But just realize, like, if you assume somebody's faking something, that makes me question the person who assumes that. I don't know why this never occurred to me. It was something that I've been thinking about this week. That's another thing I've been thinking about this week is I saw a YouTube short, and it was this young man who has legal blindness, and he has a service dog, and he got kicked out of a restaurant, which is not legal. Now, granted, I don't know what state he is in. And in the comments section, I mean, I was just dismayed that it happened. I can understand. I'm starting to realize that this seems to be human nature more often than not. But why is it if somebody has a disability or a learning issue or somebody's different from you, that immediately either they're dramatic, they're faking, it isn't real, or, yeah. And why do people default about that if it's not something that they really know a lot about? Is that a human nature thing? To think you know more? So with this video, but I just noticed the thing that was bothering me wasn't just like this random video. I just feel like I've seen that a lot. Just like seems to be a theme that I see that more often with people who I have no real reason to think are bad people. Default to, if they see somebody with a disability and it's an invisible disability or a mental health issue that they cannot see, which is the definition of invisible disability, they assume that they cannot be disabled. Why? I ask you, I implore you, if you're somebody that looks at somebody else and say, he looks normal to me, there's no way he's blind. Now, most of us would say, obviously, he has a dog and it has a thing that had a disability thing in it. Why would... See, that's what I don't get. Is that a human nature thing that we default to, that somebody must be making it up to get a benefit? Like, I don't understand this thinking. Like, is that something you would do? That's my question to this manager. Would you do something like that? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Think about it. That's an awful lot of effort that somebody went through to go to a restaurant. What kind of freaking person would do that? I don't know about you, but they're already self-conscious. They already don't want to be looked at. They're human beings. We're all human. If that were you and you had a disability, wouldn't you be self-conscious? You just want to go and eat your dinner. And the whole, you know what? When I find it, if I think of it, if I remember, I'll put the link so you guys can watch it's a short. And this is an extreme example, but I've seen this so much. I'm like dehydrated. I'm going to pause this for a second. Hold on. Okay. Sorry to go down that rabbit hole. I had to get my Burt's Bees. And with the way that I process things, for people who don't know me yet, I've been filming myself in not the most attractive light, just because this is where I'm at right now. And if I'm having a bad day where I'm really symptomatic and I'm struggling, I might just turn on the camera and share it briefly. I try not to make my videos take too long. This is already 20-something minutes. When I shorten them, if I try to script them, yeah, it's hard because the way I process things. So for now, until I learn how to script things or train my thoughts to stay on track, which I'm not sure if I can do with what I have, this is what we've got. So I'm trying to be mindful, but it's hard to rein it in. Okay, so I might leave that one as it is and put this in 2 separate videos. I'm not sure. What's the other thing I wanted to talk about? Yeah, that did really bother me. I know I'm going back for a minute. So what ended up happening in that video, I just want to finish that thought because I realize I think I might have just left that hanging there. And you might be like, what are you even talking about? So the young man who went into the restaurant with the service dog and had a thing with it that I think it said blind or disabled right on it, or service dog. And he's like, see, I am blind. And the manager looked at him, because I am not in the blind community, and anybody who is, this is just from what I've learned from content creators, so my knowledge is limited. Please feel free to share any information in comments if you stumble upon this. I know I am a very small channel, but I'm open. I'm not knowledgeable, but from what he was sharing, not everybody in the blind community is like completely blind. And in his case, his blindness is the pinhole. So whatever he looks at, he can see, but on the periphery, he can't see anything. So technically, if his eyes look at the manager, I mean, has vision enough to look at him. And because his eyes weren't going in different directions, this manager thought he knew better than the blind person in front of him to say, "Are you sure? Is that emotional? Is that an emotional service dog? Yeah, we know what you're trying to do. If you don't leave, we're calling the police." He just assumed. Now, from where I'm coming from a customer service background, I think that's disgusting. This is my human reaction, and this is not a mature reaction. This is not probably the reaction I should have. But as somebody who takes pride and is not perfect, but I try to treat everybody the best that I can, and I think it's the most important thing. Yes, you need to keep things moving, and you don't want to spend too long on any person, that other people aren't neglected. But if you want to try to keep it as professional as you can. But yeah, that's appalling. That's the opposite of good customer service, right? Besides it being blatantly discriminatory at the least and predatory and abusive at the worst, the thing that just really struck me is not that it happened and somebody was wrong in their behavior, which he is. And I don't know when that video was created, but they should be exposed, because somebody else commented that, not that any of us want to get any establishment or group in trouble. Another person who had a disability in the comment section said they should be exposed because they will keep perpetrating that behavior, and it's harmful. It's hurting to that person, because now you're first, at the very least, besides how you're emotionally making them feel, which is shit, in front of people, now you've created an additional barrier. Okay, their life is they already have accommodations to try to live a life like everybody else. So what he did was not legal. It was discriminatory, and it was terrible. But what struck me is the conviction. He was so convinced that this disabled person who's telling him no, and he explained, I can bring in my papers, he said. And somebody in the comments said, one, it should be exposed because this will keep happening, and said that people in I don't remember if it was the blind community or just disabled people in general, would rather get shit on and treated like crap than draw more attention to themselves. So they will just leave, and they're not going to be the ones to draw attention to it. Now, I didn't bring this up to demonize that situation or that person, although I have my own feelings about that behavior. And it's ableism. And this is some of the things that I talk about in my channel and I'm going to be sharing are things that I know. There are things that I know. The things that I have learned over 25 years of being diagnosed with ADHD. There's some stuff that I have learned the hard way, and we're not all the same. We are not all the same. But the things about ADHD that I have learned over the years, that I have learned with therapists and people who have worked with me, people who work in the psychology field, and then things that I have learned in school, there are some things I know. And I can look stuff up if people have questions, or if new information comes out, I'm really open to hear about it because I want to know. And if I'm wrong, please tell me. And I will try to have an open mind, and I will try to not be defensive and not do the thing that I'm being triggered by. I mean, that's really the only thing I can do, is to see what it is about the behavior that's triggering, besides the fact that it was very hurtful to that gentleman and it is not helping anyone in any disabled community. And that, of course, resonates very strongly with me as a human justice issue. But what do I have control over? Yes, there are assholes. I'm sorry, I have to swear. There's no other way. There are predatory people out there there are people out there who do bad things. Not everybody is like that. And I don't think that everybody is like this guy, but I did notice that things that I have seen in the limited experiences I can have as a human being within the interactions I've been in. But I've been on the planet 50 years. I look young, but I'm not. And that counts. And I do have a critical mind. And this is something that I'm probably going to be reflecting a lot on in the next year. How else are we going to bridge the gap? I don't think it's, I'm not trying to like start some kind of cause. I don't want to be a poster person for ADHD, even though I'm doing content about it. I'm doing content despite it, because the whole point is I've been embarrassed my whole life. I mean, how many books do you need to read? How many counselors do you need to go through? How many charts and time management tools do you need to try? How much nutritional food can you try? And eventually you realize the people around you, not meaning to, still leave you feeling that it's your responsibility to fix it. Now, it is our responsibility, because we're the ones living with our conditions, to try the best we can. And it's heartbreaking to realize, and really confusing and depressing, to try to sort out what challenges we have that might actually be a disability. The things that, if I've been trying for 25, 30 years to change something and it's not changing, and I've tried every single thing that I can comb through, every resource available to me. And, since 2000, when I got diagnosed, there was the internet. I had all the books. Yes, there are a lot of new information that I've been learning the last couple years that I didn't know before. But yeah, I haven't been wanting to let people see. So I've been dealing with stuff on my own. And I'm tired. I'm tired. All I know is that I figured if I create a channel, I know that there's somebody out there who might find this. Maybe an older woman like my age who struggled with this and kind of came up in the world when they didn't know about this stuff. Maybe somebody younger who doesn't have access to some of the tools that I've tried, and maybe sharing my story and sharing me in my not best moments will help normalize it a little bit, and also educate people along the way, anyone who may know or care about somebody who has this, that it isn't in your mind. Your brain is biologically different in some ways. There's got to be a way. There's two things that I keep coming back to, because I keep trying to reassess, what am I trying to do? I want to share the things that have been helpful for me, so that if there are people out there who have been struggling, they can try them. Maybe it'll help somebody. Maybe it won't, because we're all different, and what helps me may not help somebody else. I also want to be like, guys, I feel weird too. Maybe find some kind of community of other people who feel like weirdo freaks, who don't really fit in the world and have struggles and can't talk to their family members or people around them who are neurotypical. And I think it's just what perpetrates this feeling bad about ourselves. It's our nature to compare ourselves. We don't mean to, but when you're in, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this other thing? How much can I control? I mean, we can't, it's very hard to, well, this kind of gets complicated because it depends on the person.
because everybody's ADHD, everybody's autism, everyone's neurodivergence is so vastly different with whatever symptoms that they are struggling with, and to the extent that it interferes with their functioning in the world and in life and their ability to live and work. And but yeah, and I don't want to feel so alone, so it's got to help somebody. So there's that. And also for my own sanity, and I have that medical student, nursing student mind. Like, I want to know why. I've always been that way too. I noticed, like, even in my 20s, like, before I even took any kind of medical classes, I didn't think, like, maybe this is my neurodivergence. I don't just assume something to be true, even if it comes from a reputable source. I almost always have to, like, check it with other sources, and I check the dates, and I also want to make sure that something's true. And is that the latest? Is there something new that maybe will change our understanding of this other thing that we thought was true? So, and also for me to not feel crazy, because I will look things up. I will be educated from professionals to help me manage my life. And I was also in an ADHD educational group with other adults. And the person who runs it for the whole hospital system. This isn't like nobody. This isn't like me turning on an internet and just taking something from any Tom, Dick, or Harry's website and just running with it. This is not nothing. This is a lot of years, a lot of research, because it's almost like you have to do 3 times the research. Because if you think about how many messages you get during a day from other people around you, even if you're not talking about it, it comes up eventually. Waiting in line at pharmacy, issues that come up at work, even if it's not about you, even if you don't disclose, eventually you're going to be working with somebody and you're going to see it happen to them, and you're going to see how they're managed, because it affects work. And then you'll learn if it's safe to disclose or not, and what you can talk to them about and what you can't. These are real life issues. And all of these messages, when the multitude of messages around you are people who think they know better. This is the thing that kind of irked me, is that I'm starting to realize the theme, and I wonder, and I want to kind of reflect on this more over time. Is that a human nature thing? And to just assume something isn't real if you can't see it, or if it doesn't pass your criteria, like that guy thinking, well, you don't look blind to me. I know that I'm not blind. My friend Sienna, who is blind and autistic, she's had this, and she's completely blind. She's had people not believe her, which to me is absolute. Like, I don't get this. I don't get this. I know that that's not everyone, but I have seen that reaction in different situations to different degrees enough that it's starting to seem to be more often than not that that's how somebody would feel. And if I look back in my own life, I was that way too. I was. Yep. For me to be diagnosed with ADHD, I had to go through like a mental health crisis. Like, it had to be that bad. I literally thought I was crazy and there's nothing wrong with me, and just snap out of it. And I couldn't understand it because there was nothing around me to tell me that I was any different than anyone else. And we will go to our friends and our family and our loved ones and our elders for advice of things in life. And if you've never had any kind of messages come to you to kind of reflect, hey, maybe there's this thing that you might be, it could be this, there wouldn't be any reason that you to think that. At least with everybody's experience is different. Mine, I struggle with this still because of the gaslighting, of the false beliefs around you. And still, So, how do we deal with this? And how are we not affected? How does that not feed into I'm already trying to undo this gaslighting? I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with my counselor about this. I'm like, I question, I go, but what if I'm feeling sorry for myself? What if I've just been talked into believing I have this thing and I don't? Because I have this bias. And I'm smart. I'm not obviously like really like, wow. Right? Right. These ingrained biases, wow. So it's really for my evolution as I've been learning about this. It's been a year. I am an older person. So I come from a generation where ADHD didn't even come into my awareness till I was like diagnosed. And I swore up and down that it was a bunch of shit. It was crap. I thought it was bullshit. Because I didn't want to, I'm like, come on, it's hard for everybody. You're just feeling sorry for yourself. I was very defensive. Well, I didn't want there to be something wrong with me. I was afraid. If I go back and reflect, why did I feel that way? And maybe this could help if you feel that you have this reaction coming up in you as well, either for yourself or someone you know, or just in general, like, that's a bunch of crap. Where does that come from? Why? Why do we think that? For me, I can only reflect on me. Like, why did I think that? Because I didn't want to believe it was real. Because I had to work hard. So why should somebody else get special treatment? So I don't want to hate people for feeling that way. And so I come full circle. It's a lot to unpack, right? That's why I'm starting to wonder about ableism, since I didn't even know what ableism was. I mean, if you were to tell me, hey, there's people who are prejudiced against people who have disabilities, I would believe that 100%. People are prejudiced against about a whole bunch of different things. There's bigoted people everywhere. Depending on the type of prejudice, and the culture and the country and the region will change. But that's an interesting idea for a topic. Yeah, I did a research project on this. I had this sneaky little feeling, and it made me very uncomfortable. This like little tiny voice in the back of my head. What if we're all prejudiced in some way? Whoever would want to think that? Now, I don't know about you guys. I know that our channels are viewed all over the place. And these topics are super triggering. And I'm only bringing up the types of prejudices that deal with issues that affect my life. Because that's all I can really, I don't want to say have authority about, because I'm not any kind of, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a neurologist. If somebody thinks they know about ADHD, then they're not a neurologist. Why does somebody need to be in? Because it's a neurological condition. It's not just not paying attention. You're neurologically different. That's why they say neurotype. So yeah, I was thinking that it's sad we still have to combat this. And also trying to humble myself to realize how much I don't know still. And how can I share this on my channel? I'm just like a regular person. I don't know how to film videos. I'm just a lady with a phone who has ADHD, who can't work who's like, I'm recovering from burnout and I feel absolutely insane. I work with the public, so my social battery gets used up, and I don't even understand why I have to rest for a few days after I work one day, which to me is total bullshit. But So I can talk about that. And because I'm supportive of other people who have disabilities and I care about them very much, I do care about that. I'm not ever going to be like I'm some kind of expert on something that I'm not. I certainly don't want to do that. I certainly don't want to come. And if I ever come across that way, let me know. But if there's a reason why I feel a certain way or I believe a certain thing and it goes against what you believe, let me know. And these things could be possibly good opportunities for us to cross check our information. Because if there's something new that you don't know, this could be good for you to learn and this would help you. And the same thing for me. Yeah. You know how they say, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks? I'm not quite an old dog. I can't believe I'm middle-aged. My brain still thinks I'm in my 20s. My body feels like it's in its 60s or 70s. The other day, I went to get out of bed and I was like, what's this sound? And it was my knee crunching. I'm like, my knees sound like Rice Krispies. My God, I got to start doing stretches again. And yeah. Sorry about this ramble, guys. These are my thoughts. And also, too, if we support each other as a community, there's got to be a way that we can agree to disagree about some things, too. Because that will allow us to have respect for each other. And I would like, if we do develop a cohesive community at some point. I know that, like, one of the women I started to follow, she's a therapist in England. She's awesome. Her name's Jade. She's awesome. I posted some things about her. And she had mentioned she's seen some little pockets on YouTube of community here and there for neurodivergence, but not like a centralized one. So she has a platform online that I joined, and people aren't really talking in there yet. It's still new. And I know that I've seen different content creators, some way more experienced and professional than me. And I would like to develop a group of friends or community here so we can help each other. And hopefully someday maybe we can all, like, connect with each other at a larger macro. Is that how you say macro level instead of like, but I can only share my experience, my truth, and my opinions about things because why I feel the way I do, because of experiences and the way that I look at things and what my values are. And I can try, as a person, as an individual, I can try to be as loving and accepting as other human beings as I possibly can, within the limits of not allowing myself to be abused or walked over. I don't have any rules for anybody who may stumble upon my channel or want to join as a community. I am going to start doing lives, and I want to start sharing some of the information I learned from this ADHD group that I found very helpful. And all the people in the group that participated also found it extremely helpful. And it was put together in a format. So each week we covered a different topic. I know I've mentioned this a few times. I just haven't figured out how I'm going to take all this information that's swirling around in my head. I'm ADHD, so it's like alphabet soup. It's just like it's in there. And I'm like, okay, how do I encapsulate it into digestible bites for you? Some of the stuff you will have already seen. And that's another thing, is that I'm like, am I just regurgitating stuff that's already available on other people's platforms here, other people's channels? But we're all different, right? So at the very least, me putting this out there, it helps me. It helps give me it's like therapy, me sharing this with you, just knowing that this might help somebody else out that might be like me. and also helps to motivate me. It gives me a little bit of that accountability so that if I'm sharing like what's changed, um, I'm not as tempted to go back into my depression and disassociate from the world because I'm just overwhelmed. But yeah, I haven't decided how. I was just thinking last night about how, like, for my channel, I really have to do like bullet points. Like, even if it's shorts. And I'm telling you, it exists. It already exists. I can't even tell you. It already exists. There are so many people on YouTube who have like ADHD channels. They already debunk these myths. I shouldn't have to, but God dang it. I'm going to have to. Do I have to put the studies in front for somebody to see? It is real. You're not imagining it. They're not imagining it. If anything, that person needs clarity. They're not trying to get away with extra stuff. If somebody comes to you looking for accommodations at work because they can't be to work on time to save their life, I guarantee you they're probably bawling and having, like, on a semi-regular basis, an anxiety attack about it. That's not somebody trying to get away with shit. This is not somebody who's looking for special attention. They're embarrassed and they're mad. If you can't even get to work on time and you're an intelligent person and you are capable and it keeps happening and you don't know why and you don't accept it, which is not helpful, which is where I'm at. I'm like, bullshit, like, that's it. This is not happening anymore. And it still happens. When does it occur to people that if somebody has executive functioning issues and you can't think straight because it's neurological and you can't see it because it's in someone's brain, if you get distracted because of neurological executive functioning issues, if you have dyschronometria, not just because you are distracted and lose track of time because you are distracted, but in addition, because there's a part of your brain, which I really have to get. That was very difficult when I was looking that up. Yeah, I want to, like, I don't want to beat people over the head with it, but if I have to dig all this shit out and put it out there in a way that it's like, bam, just so all of us can stop being discriminated against and dismissed. We're already doing that to ourselves. And all of the things we're trying, it's not going to fix it. All we can do is try to manage it the best to our ability, and each person's ability will be different. And from what I'm learning, unfortunately, it'll be different at different times. If you're at a burnout, like I was in a burnout and I'm kind of slowly coming out of it, I can't do the shit I used to do. In the past, I could just be downright fucking cruel to myself to, like, mentally beat myself into submission to be able to do the things other people do. It's like the time blindness is 10 times as bad. My energy level is shit. My body got physically sick. I will say, and I'm going to do another, this is way too long. You're probably not even going to watch this far, but I will say, some of you are going to say like stuff that I've been doing is really negative, and I apologize for that. I also want to say, I was like, why is it negative? The whole thing is that I'm trying to show my honest self, and yes, I can be thinking of things in a different way. And I am working with my counselor on that. And she is very good. So this is actually a lot better than it was. We're all works in progress, right? So I'm working on it. But if this helps to put in perspective how I became like my temperament and not putting up with it and having which comes across as very negative, what's the word I'm looking for? I hate that. defeatist, it's because how long and how many tries does somebody do something before I mean, your brain doesn't want to keep, it's like, that silly saying, the definition of insanity is to keep trying something and expecting a different result. I'm still going to keep trying things because I want my life to be better. I want to be better. I want to be better for the people around me. I want to perform more. I want to, work more. Oh, so what I was just going to say is, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, so I'm going to give you a little bit of information. This is not an excuse. This is not saying anything bad about my family. I'm not trashing anybody. I don't know if this helps kind of put into perspective how I became formed into the human that I am. And the die is kind of cast, so I'm going to give myself grace for some of it. But even people within the US, regionally, people within a certain church group, people within a certain culture, people within different parts of the country have very different attitudes in the way they do things. If you go to downtown Boston, or if you you walk around New York City, there's a certain no bullshit attitude that they have, and that's kind of like where I come from. And I grew up with this is already an hour, part of my life when I was young, my younger years, when I was a baby, my father, I'm not gonna make this long. My father was transferred for his work down to New Jersey. So I spent part of my life in New Jersey, and we go to New York City a lot. So if you think of those regions and the attitudes and the no bullshit and how that is, that you love people around you, but yeah, you gotta no tolerance for bullshit. And now, culturally, if you go into my family, on both sides, both grandmothers were very strong matriarchs of the family and didn't put up with bullshit. And very independent. Yep. And I'm proud, right? They're not mean. But if you're not used to women, and I'm not making this like a gender thing or sex thing, I could see if somebody didn't know the people in my family, I could see that. If you're used to like the typical mom or the typical women being very, not passive, but very easygoing, I want to take care of everybody, that is not the environment I come from. We are both our attitudes and our choices, as well as the things that shape us. And I think our masking is part of that. I was reflecting a lot on masking this morning as well. I also, before I go, wanted to let you guys know what you've been seeing in me only really posting videos once a week and me being really tired. This is not where I'm going to be. I don't know if it's just going to be a couple of weeks, a few days, hopefully sooner than later, maybe another month. I plan to be a lot more active. I am learning what I'm doing right now. I'm learning about my burnout. For everybody, it'll be different. I'm trying to learn and understand like how I could possibly become burned out, because it doesn't make sense to me. It's one thing to learn about something intellectually, and I think that this is part of why it takes so long to come to terms with and accept your own neurodivergence. And this is why I've actually am coming to the same feeling that I'm starting to think that self-diagnosis is valid for the same reasons that other people have said. So if you're new to looking at content about autism, and I'm new to learning about it as well, so there is quite a few wonderful, wonderful content creators that has a wealth of information. I'm going to start crying because I'm so grateful. If it wasn't for them sharing their experience, I literally would have no idea that it could possibly be me as well. And it was, oh, there's a bunch of them. I haven't watched Dan of Aspie World recently as much, but there was a video that he did, and it was because that I was watching Jessica McCabe and How to ADHD. I used to watch her a lot. And there was some kind of, I don't know if it was YouTube convention or something, and they sat near each other and they did videos with each other. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I don't really know much about Asperger's, and I know we don't call it that anymore, but he still does, and that's okay. I'm also learning about, you know, how every culture and group and community has each individual has their own unique experiences, and this is very unique to maybe it's not. I guess it's similar. Maybe in the blind community, everybody's blindness is different. There's different kinds of blindness. There's different kinds of neurodivergence. There's different kinds of ADHD. And I just thought it was the two types before. It used to be ADD and ADHD. And I was mad they changed it. And I'm like, I'm not changing it. I am ADD because I was attached to that. Technically, if I still want to call myself that, I can, because that's what I'm used to and that's what I was diagnosed with. It's not accurate, but that's okay. I'm rambling like a storm today, guys. Oh my gosh. It's all important, though. It's all important. And it's part of my process. If nobody watches this, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But I think, like, I'm just kind of going with it for now, because I know eventually as I go, I don't know, I'm chronicling my journey. This is part of it. It's complicated. It's not simple. There's a lot to learn, right? I was shocked about how much I didn't know about ADHD, which I already knew a lot because I made myself. I'm still sad. I'm still sad that it's not even about like prejudices and the negative experiences, which I do have. And I'm resistant to saying the word prejudice. Part of it is like that strong independent nature, that personality trait that I have because of the culture within my family. Being a New Englander. Yeah. Yeah. And culturally, both. I don't know if it's the Irish in my family, the Scottish in my family. I found out that there's some Viking back there that I didn't even know about. I have some Spanish, like a tiny bit from Spain. These are passionate, strong-willed women. And yeah, there's some negatives that come with that too. And I try to manage it. Technically, I'm a Scorpio. I don't usually talk about it because there's a lot of negative connotations. And then there's also the whole pseudoscience thing about astrology not being real. Wow, I just got into that topic. I didn't mean to. There's just no way around that. So I guess maybe part of this process is to accept myself too. I mean, in our culture, aren't we only told what's wrong? I've been reflecting about masking as well. For those of you that are new to learning about neurodivergence, ADHD, and autism, especially if you're an adult and you're starting to learn about these things for the first time now, a later diagnosed adult, and you would like to know what some of these terms mean, I will try to be mindful and just do a little quick, because I forget. I think of the community I'm building, of the small, tiny community, and there's people that are in my real life that come in and and talk with me. And there's also people that I've become friends with within the neurodivergent community on YouTube, which has been so key to healing. I still have a lot of frustration. I still have a lot of embarrassment. I still have shame. I still have that, like, not warrior, but that strong, independent woman that doesn't take bullshit, cannot accept that there is something I cannot overcome. That is also not healthy. Sometimes overcoming isn't conquering. Ooh, that's hard, right? Acceptance. Like, what do we accept? The whole serenity prayer, man. We can know something intellectually. We can talk about it. We can bring it up. The wisdom to know the difference. That's such a sticky point with neurodivergence, right? Even though we're all so different, this whole masking thing, we've all had it affect us in our life in some way. I'm just going to keep talking, whatever. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. If you guys don't want to watch. Yeah, I definitely should do the lives, even though I haven't, my energy, it's slowly coming back. I'm going to do a separate video, but I'll just keep going if you're still listening. Some good things about my week. My energy is slowly coming back, I think. So this week, last week was the first week that my back did not hurt the next day. It was still weak. I still could pull it. Oh, for all of you that are new, if I have not introduced myself yet, I am Sherry. It's an hour in. I probably did, but I am an adult with ADHD and possibly autism. My issues that I struggle with are executive functioning, hard, big time, right now. And I know when I was younger, they weren't as bad. So I will be, and there's a lot I'm learning still. I'll be talking about each of the issues that affect people with ADHD. So we can all start to look at our individual challenges. And you can understand why and know it's not your fault. And even if the things that I share are not helpful for you, once I start doing lives, which I've been wanting to do forever, I keep like trying to conceptualize in my head. Like maybe I'm trying to plan it too much because I do that. I think a lot. I like to think a lot. I do. I'm interested in a lot of things. This is a good time of the week for me. Wednesdays and Thursdays. I didn't start to decide on a schedule yet because I wanted to wait to see once I went back to work what my energy was going to be like. And I didn't want to like commit to anything yet. I'm sad because I feel like self-care and figuring this stuff out is taking me away from living. I want to get a better job. I like to work. I love to help people. Oh my God. I saved somebody $30 the other day. Somebody had mentioned to me, talk about something positive. And then afterwards, I was just like, what does she want? At first I was just like, and I'm sorry if that's you. This still is very helpful. And I thank you. Even the things that we may recoil from when we first hear are always helpful, right? Because then you can go and reflect on that, which I did, and I still am. I'm still working through. Isn't that interesting? You said that one comment, and I think her name is Diamond something. If you're watching, hello. She probably won't because this is very freaking long. It really reminded me of something that happened to me when I was younger. And I will get into that another time. So I was like, oh. There was a point in my life, I'll just briefly say there was a point in my life and I fell into a depression shortly after graduating high school. And I hadn't made a plan yet as to what college I was going to go to, what my goals were, if I was going to work or go to college. I hadn't decided that yet. And I was very fortunate that my parents, who are very accepting and understanding of mental health situations, that actually helps to open the door. If you are knowledgeable and accepting of your own mental health struggles, if you do, what you do and do not decide to share with your children, whatever age that is appropriate, probably more older, is your choice. Totally. I don't know the right answer to that. Was it right for them to share that with me so young? I don't know. But I was very much struggling as a kid. I was very, very much socially. Oh, I feel like a freak. Yeah. And I'm not going to get into that yet because right now I'm just focusing on practical. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. That's like part of the neurodivergent journey, right? I mean, unless you're like so high functioning that maybe your ADHD or autism, can it be mild enough that it's not impairing you in some way? As far as autism goes, I'm just learning, so I don't yet know. For me, it would be a higher functioning. I'm highly masking to the point that I think I'm normal still. I was reflecting on that a lot this week too. And was it today or yesterday? It might have been today. It might have been this morning. I posted a video. I forget her name. Her son, is it Torin Wolf? My executive functioning, my working memory is poor. I care very, very much about people, and I will remember things about them, and then other things I might forget, like their name. But I do relate to some of the things in her story. I have watched their channel before. It's a mother-son. So when you see that short in my community section, and she's playing the guitar, and she was singing what masking was like for her. I think that somebody had mentioned, and I don't remember if it was Megan in the Neuro Curiosity Club. It used to be Neurodivergent Magic. She's very good. She is a woman with ADHD and autism. And she is a coach. I'll let you go to her channel. I think it's Neuro Curiosity Club. Actually, if I think about it, I'll put it down. What was the other one I was going to remember for you guys? I already forget. Is there anything I'm forgetting before I go? I can't believe this has been an hour and 13 minutes. So until I get better and know what is going on from week to week. Oh my God. I haven't even updated you. I haven't updated you on this week. And the whole bank situation, it's still being resolved. My friend, who is very proactive, I love you, Christine, has been texting me. And because my head's been in the sand due to my particular neurodivergence, and I haven't gotten to meet up with her and share with her some of the things that I learned and why I struggle with certain things. So she wouldn't even know. And then you gotta go. And I'm like, I know. And then it's like my PDA is kicking in and I'm like, but the timing wasn't good either, because I think it was a Thursday that I did a video for you guys. And then was it last week? And then it was. And then after I did that video, I don't know. It was the next day. I'm going to pause this.
It was the next day that I found out that my next check, so I went from negative 80 to negative 250. They ate the check. And yes, I'm getting it resolved. And yes, I know what to do. And I'll tell you what, guys, what I'm doing today. I'm going to do that in my next video. Yes, because I needed to know if I got paid. Because I'm like, okay, one of the issues was I'm stimming. If this is distracting, I'm sorry. Let me stand over here so it's not distracting. Stimming is a behavior that you do to calm yourself down. It's a self-soothing thing. Everybody does it some. Neurodivergent people do it more. Autistic, you might see I do this sometimes when I'm excited. I had no idea that might be it. It could just be I'm quirky. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I rock. I fidget. If your mind's going like this and you're thinking and you start rocking, it helps. It kind of slows you down. So yeah, I am being symptomatic right now. I know I want to tie this up. I gotta go to the bathroom. So today I'm going down to the bank. Oh, I was gonna jump in the shower early. Time check. Go take your medications. What? I feel like it was 10 o'clock a minute ago. Now it's 11:30. Now I'm discouraged and I don't even want to do it at all. But we will persist. We will persist today or tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm getting this thing resolved. Oh, and I might hang out with a friend of mine. This looks weird. I might hang out with a friend of mine who's a younger person who's struggling with ADHD, who's a teenager, who I love. Her name's, well, actually I won't share it yet because actually I shouldn't. She's a teenager. I absolutely shouldn't share it. She's still a kid. And this is a public forum. But yeah, that's very exciting. That's very exciting. She's a little mini me. She's a mini me. And I can't heal myself by helping another person. I can't undo challenges I had as a kid. But it feels really fucking good, doesn't it? If you find a kid, a person, a young person who's struggling with the things that you struggle with and you didn't have somebody that said, it's going to be okay. I'm sorry, but that means a lot to me. And you're not a freak. You're not broken. If you can think of all the things that are important to you, think about this. I'm going to leave you with this thought. This sounds depressing, but it's not. It's really not. If you think about what is important in your life, what are the things that we focus on most of the time? What are the things that we get on ourselves? I got to pay this bill. I got to do that thing. I'm going to work. I have to make sure the kids are like all of these things. They're super important. They're part of our work that we're here to do. I'm not super religious. I'm not going to get like your beliefs may be different and that's okay. It's all important. But at the end of the day, and hopefully it is many years from now, God willing, God hope, whatever your belief is in your higher power, if you might be atheist, I don't know. My fiance is agnostic or atheist, so it's kind of hard for me. It's very lonely. We like to think we'll help or influence people around us, but it's not our job. It's not my job. I don't know. Who am I more knowing than anyone else? Am I an expert more than anyone else? No, not when it comes to religious stuff. Why am I fucking even talking about? I'm happy to be here. The takeaways are, I'm happy to be here.
I promise you I've been taking my antidepressants. I promise you. I don't know if you can tell. Even though I'm symptomatic and I'm all over the place, if you watch that first video that I did on the 30-day experiment, you can freaking tell. I'm sorry, you can tell. Yeah, I'm going, oh, these are the things I struggle with, and I'm like spacing out, but I'm out of it. I am out of it. So that's the thing with medicine. It doesn't fix things. It helps some. At the end of the day, what is important? If you can only have accomplished one thing in your life, besides, of course, like doing the best you can for your family, because we love our family, our loved ones, our everything, our family's everything, right? But at the end of the day, the money doesn't matter. It matters enough so that you can eat and hopefully have a somewhat enjoyable life, right? And have a roof over your head, right? And some nice things, not expensive, what you can for within your means, whether that is crafts. It doesn't have to be like some fancy house or fancy car. More power to you. If you're able to be successful and make all that money, enjoy it, please send a girl some tips, because I am capable of way more than where I'm at. I don't know why I'm here. Anyway, the only thing that matters that I feel, and I could be wrong, is how I make people feel. Why? Why do I say that? I think it might be the only, besides my everyday responsibilities of trying to do better so that I can actually contribute to my family and not feel like a burden to them, because they're supporting me right now until I get better. What does better mean? I don't know. Like I said, I have no idea what I need to accept and what I need to fix. What is within my ability to improve and change and what isn't. What is a disability of what I have and what isn't. And that will be a process. And that's something that I'm going to come to my own feelings about, my own assessment about. And there's so much information for me to filter through, and seeing other people's journeys and what they post has been critical for me. I don't know how we're going to do this alone. I'm an introverted person. You wouldn't know it. If you were to see me with customers, you would think like I'm like this like social butterfly, but I'm not. I'm not, man. I could easily spend all my time at home and connect with people online and be totally cool with that. I do miss out. I do need more social connection, and I do withdraw, and I have struggled with depression, and I am in a place where I withdraw more than I should. Improvements this week. Back doesn't hurt like it did. If I don't sit right, I'll pull it. I have been heating. I've been doing all of the things. I have a list of things that I like, action steps I've given myself that I've kind of sorted through and decided what would be helpful for me because of managing my own, and with recommendations from my physical therapist and my doctor. So I'm not just like randomly finding things. So just know there's reasons that I do the things I do. Might not be right for you. So that's plus. My energy level has gone up a little bit, at least this week. I've noticed that last week it took a little less time of recovery after working a day. Yesterday was my withdrawal day. I don't return calls or texts. So if you guys call or text me and it's a Tuesday and I don't text you back, I apologize. I give myself that boundary. And I try to talk to people about it. If I haven't talked to you about it yet, if I don't get back to you on a Tuesday, I'm sorry. All right, now that's temporarily, my schedule might change. But that is the day that I've given myself a rest. I'm allowing myself to just do whatever I want and just rest. I have to. I don't want to end up that burnout again. That's until I find out something better. So that's huge. I saved a lady a lot of money. I love to do that at my job without giving away too much. Yeah, coupons. Saved a lady $30. Thank you very much. Some people are like they don't have to. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna hook you up right now. I'm sorry, but if there's a cashier that says that to you and you're not in a hurry, my suggestion is let them do it. We're broke. We literally can't buy food. Broke ass cashiers, man. We want to save you money because we need somebody to save us money. Let them do it, because I don't have much control in my life right now. It doesn't feel that way until I learn a lot of stuff and change and make a lot of shifts, and there's some changes on the horizon, but there's a lot of work that I have to do. I'm not in a place at this present juncture to have control over anything. I can't control the president. I can't who's president. I cannot control politics. I cannot control the wildfires. I cannot control the climate. I cannot control things in other countries and terrible things that are happening around the world. I have no control. I have no control over that. I have what I have. I'm learning how to manage it. The one thing that I can control, besides being really good at video games, which is an addiction that I have to manage, that's another video, I can be nice to people. I can be nice to people. And I love doing that because I know. I might seem very negative on here because I'm struggling, but part of that is I'm being real. I don't want to candy coat shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm swearing. I don't want to candy coat things. I'm going to tell you how things are. Yes, I'm working on having a different perspective and changing when I'm having that's what the counseling does. My counselor's amazing. She's been really helping me, and I shifted a lot of perceptions. And part of it, I think, is probably common for other people who struggle with ADHD too, is that we could misassess how long things take. We can miss as far as our expectations on ourselves to expect more than we are able to do in a lot of aspects. So it feels like I have less control than I do. But how important is how you treat people today? I mean, think about it. Even if you never think about it, it's just like something you take for granted. I think we all should do anyway, which is true. When you go to the store and somebody's standing in front of you, some little old lady, let her go first. I used to sneak up on people. I worked in another store. I haven't been able to do that because we have less. It's a different store. We have less coverage. But I used to sneak up on people with baskets. Well, not like in a malicious kind of stalkery weird way or anything weird. Just like if I notice somebody, we all do it, right? We all do it, and I'm like, I bet you they don't. Would not expect anybody to be like, hey, do you want a basket? And some people are like, oh, thank you. And it's just like, I get a little giggle inside. Because I'm like, what do I have control over? Nothing. But that person over there was going to drop all their shit on the floor. And I drop things all the time. I don't know about you guys. So, yeah. Every time I'm working, I'm always trying to do nice things. Matter of fact, I hope that the people I share this channel with aren't disappointed. They might be like, damn. Because I'm they always love to come in and, well, for the most, I can't speak for everyone, but there are people that love to come in because that makes them feel better. And that makes me feel very good. And I think it is because the more loss you've had in life and the more challenges you have in life, you can have so much empathy. No matter how bad your situation is, think of how much you can connect with other people. It's you're not just You're not going to be inappropriate. You're not just going to grab every stranger and start talking to them about their life story. But it just comes up around me. Like I was talking about empath stuff before, people tend to do that. And other people who find themselves having those kind of personality traits as like an empathic kind of very nurturing, caring person will have that experience of people will just like gravitate to you, especially people who are struggling. Maybe they just got diagnosed with a disease and they're overwhelmed, or they're caretaking of somebody at home and they're over freaking whelmed. You know, I've had customers that just got diagnosed with cancer. I have another lady that this is like maybe a year or two ago. She was, I felt it. Man, did I feel it. She was a caretaker for her mom, and she's worried so much about her mom. This poor woman's going to collapse. And I'm like, you got to take care of yourself. That's the thing. If you have this personality that people are drawn to you and they feel better around you, you're not going to say something inappropriate. You're going to feel it. And you'll ask, is it okay if I say this? You know, she didn't even realize she wasn't thinking of herself. No. I mean, she knew in some level, but is this like a woman thing, like a cultural, like, because I know a lot of women tend to struggle with we do have societal norms of us being more caretakers and nurturers in life in general. And there is some slight personality differences with men and women. I mean, it's not as black and white as our society makes it, but I mean, they're very nurturing, loving, sensitive men as well as strong women who don't get pushed around. I mean, it's not a gender thing, but there are some slight difference, like, you know. But yeah, I think as women, and this is just my observation, you might have different feelings, I might be wrong. I just feel like the women I've known, we put ourselves last, right? And it's such a weird dichotomy when you go through burnout and you have to be dependent on people around you. There's so much guilt. Like, I should be taking care of them. So when you don't have the solutions, it hurts. And it adds to the defeatist. We're working on it. But yeah, the lady who was caring for her mom, the stuff that I said to her, I'm sure she already knew. She knew. But she was so busy caring so much because she loves him. She loves her mom so much. And then the people around her, they're focusing on the mom because the mom has medical needs. And I carry stones in my pockets. I get into crystals, even if it's just like a reminder to not think too much or not to be anxious. It kind of grounds me. And sometimes it's just what it represents to me, what the meaning of it is. So you don't have to believe in that stuff for it to understand the benefit and meaningness of it. And one of the stones I was carrying around with me was a. Do I have one? I can't believe I'm talking to you for like an hour and a half right now. I do need to go. Oh, I really want to show it to you. Oh my gosh. Oh, Sienna, if you ever watch this, I mean, you can't, sorry. If you ever play the video, oh, I wish if you could see, you would like this. It's very neat. I don't know what you can imagine never having been sighted. What I'm holding, I will describe to you. It's a kind of like a square shaped stone. She likes stones. I've been recently finding out. We've been talking a little bit. My friend Sienna, I forget her last name, but she has, I can't remember the name of the condition she was born with, but it's made her 100% blind and have autism. And she describes on her channel. Again, another one I want to put in the description. I've already forgotten the other two. I'm so bad. I'm sorry. I should just make all of my subscriptions visible so you guys can find them. This is calcite. This is clear calcite. This used to be called a Viking stone. I'm going to totally geek out just for a minute. This is the worst, most horriblest, longest video ever. But if you've gotten this far and this is interesting to you, it looks like a little ice cube. It's clear. And another word for this is optical spar. Want a little stimmy thing? So it's kind of tumbled in the sense that the edges are not super sharp. They're rounded. And it's not like, if you were to put it up to your eye, you can't like see a clear image. It's kind of cloudy, but do I have something with print on it? You get a double refracted image when you put it over. Let me see if I can show it. Kind of. Here, hold on. Check this out. Do you see that? I'm sorry, Sienna, if you can't see it. It's weird, man. Look at it. Basically, if the way I can describe to you, for you reading Braille, imagine if all of a sudden you put your fingers down and let's say a letter has one bump. Imagine suddenly that letter has, I need to eat, I'm shaking, as a bump right next to it, kind of diagonally to the upper left. It just kind of is like, it's a double image. Now I know you can't see it, but imagine for every bump that you feel in Braille, this is the only thing that I can think of to describe it to you. Let me turn. I'm gonna make a video for her. She's awesome, guys. She did a video on all her little stimmy things that she got for Christmas, and she has this like cool rattle thing. It's really neat. So I had one of these in my pocket. So if you get into gemstones, you don't have to believe in energy or anything like that. They do have some. Everything's energy. Atoms are energy. Electrons moving around. Everything's energy. You don't have to believe in woo-woo. I'm a science girl too. Just know that. Science is very important. We need to have the scientific method, although they can be kind of closed-minded to new ideas. But there's a reason why that's important. But this guy is also called a Viking stone. And so the Vikings would use this on a rainy day, and they could actually hold it up to the sky and on a cloudy day, and they could actually use the and I forget how they did it. You can look this up online. You can watch it. I'm sure there's a video about that. It's very cool. They could somehow use it and move it around and look through it. And when the images of the two things, because it makes that double refracted, double image, like one layered on top of another, kind of sideways on an angle. So if you were to look through it and move it through the clouds, as soon as those images of shadows or light or whatever they're looking at kind of slowly come together and overlap into one thing, I think they put like a little arrow on it. That's where the sun is, or whatever it is there. So they would use this to navigate before they even had compasses. Cool, right? So what does this represent? Well, calcite is a very soft stone. This one's cool. It has some rainbows in it. It represents clarity. This one represents clarity. But most calcite is clearing and represents clarity, but this one especially so. Even though it's kind of like an illusion, the cool double refractive property of it, it still represents clarity. So, and it just feels good. You know, sometimes people have like a worry stone in their, and it just feels good, you know. So I've been stimming with these pocket rocks my whole life and not even realizing it. But yeah, so I'll carry these around with me in my pockets. And this particular day I had it, and this woman that I met that's a caretaker for her mother, and she was in burnout. And this is before I had my burnout. I could tell. I've done caretaking a couple of different times in my life, and it's not important, but just I understand. I get it. And all of the work that I've ever been drawn to is burnout fields. Healthcare, counseling, teaching, service, they're all burnouts. Because there's always going to be another sick person. There's always going to be more people than there are staff, whether you work in the medical field or not. And you are, by nature, giving of yourself to help another person. But it's very hard with, oh, my battery's going to die. It's very hard with our limited resources of energy that we have to be able to help that many customers, help that many patients. There is always more than one person can do. So it is very easy over time to get physically, emotionally, mentally drained. So I've been there in different ways, in different times in my life. And I said, I have something for you maybe. And I don't remember how I said it to her, but I said, this might seem weird. I have this crystal. I carry them in my pockets. I think this is meant for you. What do you think? And she almost started to cry. So I felt like a weirdo saying this to a stranger. I've done this a couple times. If I feel it, something tells me. It meant a lot to her. It's just a rock. I said that maybe this will be helpful. Like I said, sometimes it's a reminder. And it's something that somebody who cared about her, like some random person, me, a stranger. It doesn't have to be me. It could be you. It doesn't have to be a rock. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you're holding the door open for someone. I don't know. Whatever you do in life. So if there's something positive, somebody had said to me, show what you do that's kind. And I'm like, I do stuff all the time. But she doesn't know me. And I realized that's not what I'm filming. I'm filming when I'm miserable. I'm not showing that because I don't have to fix that, you know. But I love you guys. This is the longest video I've ever recorded. Ever. I don't think anyone will ever watch it. And my phone is dark. And I love you. And I'm going to go deal with the bank situation. I will update you on that. They did take the second check, and now it's negative 19. But yes, long story short, because this is going to die. What is the percentage? I'm going to a credit union, going to close out my bank account. Credit union only needs $1 to open an account. Sweet, I have that. I just have to stop direct deposit. I already put a freeze in my account. So I have solutions. Things are going good. They aren't like immediate. I have to shower. I love you guys. I love you. That sounds crazy. I don't know you. I've never met like many of you. I care because I'm a human too. If you feel alone, there are other people that struggle. Look on YouTube. Hopefully there are other people sharing their story as well. And I hope this finds you well. I hope this helps you. If you have not taken your medication today and you need it to feel better, let this be a friendly reminder from your ADHD friend, Sherry, that you should go do that. If you have to say pills over and over so you don't get side quests on your way to the pills, if you have to do this, if you have to be like, horses, they have the blind, if you have to do this so you don't see the dirty laundry, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. No, pills, go take your pills, go drink your water, go have something nutritious to eat. Don't forget to take care of yourself. You have this one body and your body has to take care of you. So show it some love, give it some hydration, nutrition, and your medicine so you can continue to feel good. Love you guys. Bye.